Hey, what's up, everybody? Anton here from the eCommerce Lifestyle Podcast. Right now, I am actually driving home from the office. It's like 7:30 in the morning and feeling good. I already got into the gym today, and then I just stopped by the office for a little bit to get a few things done there and pick up a couple things to bring back to my home office. And heading home because I'm going to do some training videos today. And I also am going to do a podcast interview at 9 a.m. So those things, I do from the office sometime, but I feel more comfortable in my home office because it's just more relaxed and I think a better place for me to actually create content that I then distribute online. So that's not what I want to talk to you about today, but I did want to talk to you about, why I do podcast interviews, why, depending on what industry you're in, you might have seen guest blog posts I've contributed to, ebooks that I've been part of, YouTube channels I've been on, and just really collaborative efforts that I've been part of. So, if you clicked on this episode from iTunes or Pocket Casts or whatever, you probably saw that it's called my second biggest regret. And the reason why is because this whole thing, what I'm talking about, right? Kind of being out there and doing guest appearances, if you want to call it that, is something I didn't do for a really long time in business. Not because I didn't want to, not because I thought I was above it or anything, but it just didn't pop onto my radar. So the thing that I guess I want to get across to you, and hopefully a lesson that I could share, no matter where you're at in your business, with your e-commerce business, the sooner you can start networking with people that are either in your industry or in related industries, and the sooner you can do things publicly with them, the sooner your business is going to just grow. I mean, it's a really simple concept, but again, something that I didn't do. So maybe you're not doing it either. So here's basically how this works, right? What you're going to want to do is simply know who your competitors are, know who your suppliers are, know who the trade shows are in your industry, know who different service providers are in your industry. Basically, you're going to want to know everything about your industry. So let's just say you sell, surfboards, right? And I'm going to probably just keep using that example in the e-commerce lifestyle podcast because why not? Then we could all pretend we have a surfboard store. But let's say you sell surfboards. Well, if you did, you'd obviously want to know who all of your competitors are, but you'd also want to know who all the different manufacturers are, who the different brands are. Then you'd want to know who all the accessories are, right? Like who makes all the different accessories for the surfboards. Then you'd want to know what industry events there are, so what surfing competitions, what trade shows, what other industry events do they have? I don't even know, right? What podcasts are there about surfing? What YouTube channels in the surfing industry have the most subscribers? What blogs do people go to learn about surfing? Because, you may think when you're first starting an e-commerce store, or even after you run it for a while, that, just setting up Google traffic and having people come to you when you buy ads is enough to have a business. And that's true, right? Again, it's true. You could do a lot. I should say this, you cannot do a lot of things and still have a very successful business, but there's some things that when you start implementing, your whole business will just grow. We've kind of alluded to this in different episodes of e-commerce lifestyle so far, but the people that want your products, they are already out there, right? You're not creating customers for yourself. These people are out there, they just haven't found you yet. So keep that in mind. And again, when you're learning your industry, whether you're just getting into one or whether you've been in it for a decade, you're basically going to want to create different Excel spreadsheets. And that's what we do. And in these spreadsheets, we have different columns for different things. Again, blogs, podcasts, YouTube channels, trade shows, suppliers, accessories, online courses. So the surfboard one, let's just say if there's any like Udemy courses or any courses on ClickBank that sell surfing lessons and whatnot, even surf camps around the world, who are the biggest ones. And I hope you see where I'm going with this. But the point is, like, this industry that you're in as an e-commerce seller, right, as an online retailer, is a lot bigger than just your store. And the biggest regret that I have in different industries that I've been involved with for over a decade now is that I didn't I don't want to say I didn't notice this sooner, but I didn't start building relationships with these other companies sooner, right? With all the different events and with all the different people that run blogs and with all the YouTube creators. And the reason why is because once you establish these relationships, which by the way, don't have to be monetary at all. You don't have to be, giving them money and directly buying ads from them, which of course you can, but just having some kind of relationship where you can do things like guest blog posts for them, where you can do things like maybe create a module in their surfing course, when you can do things like go on their podcast and be interviewed, or appear in one of their YouTube videos, or contribute to their forum, or comment on their blog posts, or speak at one of their trade shows, or sponsor a booth, or whatever, show up at one of the surfing competitions and give out t-shirts with your company information on it. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved and to kind of just be everywhere in your industry. But the thing that I regret, the second biggest regret I have from when I got into e-commerce for probably the first 5 years or so, I just didn't do this, was not forming those relationships. I almost looked at everyone as competition, or I looked at things like, well, this guy has a blog and he's already promoting for products X, Y, and Z. Why is he going to want to talk to me? Or why should I be on this podcast? Or, why should I even reach out? Or like, what? I don't want to sponsor this event because it costs all this money and there's no return. And while some of that can be true, that's not the point. The point is that there's a lot of people that are looking for content. They're also looking, just like we are, to build relationships with them. They're looking to build relationships with people like us. And the more relationships you have in your industry, again, whatever that industry is, and over time, the more, again, guest appearances you make, if you want to call it that, what's going to happen is the people that are already in that industry, they're going to hear your name more and more. They're going to hear it from all different angles. Someone's going to hear you on a podcast today, and then 2 years later might see your company again, giving out t-shirts at one of the at an industry event, or they might see you on someone's YouTube channel a month later, or they might see your store in their Google search results when they're looking for a surfboard 2 weeks later, right? But the point is, the more of this you do, it just kind of snowballs, and eventually, it does take time, but eventually after just doing this consistently and methodically and actually making an attempt and building it into your marketing calendar, doing this outreach, what's going to happen eventually is you're going to have everyone know about you, and it's just going to help. It's going to give you a lift just like from every angle from your store for sales. So again, not only will people hear you on a podcast, and let's say you got interviewed on a surfing podcast and you were talking about, the best new surfboards for the summer of 2018, right? Now, that on its own is not going to drive a huge influx of buyers to your store that are going to just be like, oh, I heard, Anton on this podcast, I'm going to go check out his surfboards and buy right now. That's not going to happen. But what's going to happen, again, is your name now and your store's name is going to be stored in the listener's mind. It's going to be in there. It's going to be implanted. And then again, when they hear about you the next time and when they see your ad and when they're ready to buy, they're so much more likely to do business with you. So it just gives you, again, a lift from literally every angle of your business. And it's something that is free to do. Again, you could do things like sponsor different events, or you could pay to advertise on podcasts or on YouTube channels, which definitely has its place. But what I'm talking about as my biggest regret isn't that, because I've always bought traffic from all those different websites in my industries. But the biggest regret is not just forming the relationships, not just sending an email to a blog and saying, hey, I love your blog, I would love to create this post for you and talk about the top 5 surfboards of this summer, or not reaching out to a podcast and saying, hey, I listened to a few episodes of your podcast, really enjoyed episode 110, and my name's Anton, I own thisstore.com, and I'd love to get on the podcast and talk about topic XYZ. And the more you do this, the more your business is just going to grow, and the more value it has, because then you're not just relying on search traffic and paid search, which again is fine, that makes money, but you're going to just get a lift because people will know you by the time they see your ads. Now, I guess a few other things I could say about that. Like, you might be wondering, like, okay, Anton, your second biggest regret is not forming these relationships and kind of reaching out. So what's the first? And I haven't talked about it on e-commerce lifestyle yet. I'll do a whole episode on it. But the number one has to be just completely neglecting the fact that I should use email marketing and email automations in my businesses. Again, probably for 5 years, my first 5 years or so in e-commerce, running a multi-7-figure e-commerce business, when I was just starting out, I was not collecting anyone's emails besides customers, and I was only collecting customers' emails because when they buy, they have to enter their email address, and I was never following up with them and never, sending them different promotions and asking for testimonials and cross-selling and upselling and making niche-related offers. And basically, I went on for years and easily knowing what I know now, lost out probably on 5 million plus in revenue. So yeah, not a fun thing to think about. But if anyone's wondering again what the number one is, it was not focusing on collecting emails and marketing to them earlier on. And by the way, if you want to learn how to do that, it's been one of the highest revenue generators for our business is in the past 7 years now. And if you want to learn about that, go to ecommercelifestyle.com, click on courses, then check out inbox funnels. So ecommercelifestyle.com, click on courses, then check out inbox funnels. That's where I share all of our top email automations that, again, literally lift our sales 30 to 40% a month in any given business that we have. So with that being said, guys, I am home now from the office. What was that, 10-minute drive? And gotta get ready for my interview, get prepared so I can turn this person's followers and audience into my followers and audience. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. And I really can't stress it enough and recommend, if you're listening to this, you have a store and you haven't spent the time yet to form relationships with people in your industry, get on Google, find out who everyone is in your industry and in related industries, add them all into a Google sheet so you can keep track of them, actually follow them for a bit, see if, you actually like the content that they're putting out. And if you do, reach out to them, send them a cold email, send them a LinkedIn message, tweet them, DM them on Instagram, message them on YouTube, do what you got to do, but reach out. They're just normal people, and they might be, a lot more receptive than you think to having a conversation, introducing you to their audience, which of course is going to just give your business a big lift overall. So hope you found that one useful, guys. Again, I'm going to go get my day officially started, I guess part 2 of my day. Hope everyone has a great day, gets a lot of sales, and I will see you in the next episode of E-Commerce Lifestyle. See you, everybody.